Stave One, Cranston's Ghost. Lamont Cranston was dead to begin with, dead as a doornail. He was killed while battling a gang of street thugs roughly 7 years ago tonight. A hero's death. He was the Shadow after all. It was December 24th, Christmas Eve, but that didn't matter to Bruce Wayne. With all the other vigilantes dead or retired, he was all that was left. In his mind, he had to keep going, continue the mission because no one else could. No one else had what it took. He stood on a rooftop, ignoring the cold and the frost and staring out over the snow-capped Gotham City, his cape billowing in the wind, stoic as ever. He pulled out his grappling hook and swung away. Bruce arrived at his destination, the GCPD roof, and landed in the shadows. Commissioner James Gordon turned around in time to discover the Dark Knight standing behind him.
Oh, damn it, Batman. You know, one of these days I'll get the jump on you.
I'm sure you will. What do you have for me tonight, Jim?
Gordon put out his cigarette on the cold brick wall of the roof access door.
Look, it's Christmas Eve. I'm taking the night off and I'm having dinner with the family. I haven't really seen much of Barbara since,
Batman nodded in grim agreement. It was cause to make him work harder, what had happened.
Don't you have any family of your own? I trust you, Batman, but I know so little about you. You must have someone. What happened to Robin?
He's busy tonight.
Nightwing?
Also busy.
Batgirl? Haven't seen her in a while.
Batman looked down, ashamed.
She's retired.
Find someone to spend Christmas with.
Gordon hesitantly put his hand on Batman's shoulder.
You don't want to spend this time of year alone.
He headed through the roof access door and Batman jumped off, gliding on his cape. Back at the Batcave, Bruce sat hunched and unmoving in front of the computer. Alfred Pennyworth approached with some coffee.
Thanks, Alfred.
Might I suggest, sir, that you call tonight? After all, St. Nicholas won't be by if you aren't asleep.
I have too much work to do. I have intel that Mad Hatter is planning something, but I have to figure out what.
Mr. Tetch can wait until morning, Master Bruce. You won't be any good to anyone without a good night's sleep.
After a long deliberation,
I'll go to bed in a half hour.
Alfred, seeing that this was the best he was going to get, decided to take it as a win and leave.
Oh, Master Grayson called again.
Inviting me to the Titans' Christmas party again?
Very astute, sir. What shall I tell him?
Tell him I can't. I've got too much work.
But he and Coriander have news.
Dick's a father?
Afraid so, sir.
Bruce shook it off and got back to work.
That is great news, but I can't afford to be distracted right now.
Alfred turned to leave.
Merry Christmas, Master Wayne.
Bruce either didn't hear him, which was entirely possible, or he was now ignoring him.
Bah humbug.
Bruce worked long into the night, losing track of the time. Suddenly, the strangest thing happened. The bat emblem above the computer morphed for only a second into... No, it couldn't be. But it was. It was the face of Lamont Cranston. Bruce rubbed his eyes and the bat emblem had returned. Deciding to go to sleep, Bruce turned off the computer and got out of his chair. But then the red phone he kept on his desk began to ring. It rang wildly and didn't stop when Bruce picked it up. When it finally stopped, Bruce had become worried.
Who's there? Show yourself!
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?
A figure emerged from the darkness. It was Lamont Cranston, the Shadow himself.
The Shadow knows.
But you're dead.
I am.
He had a series of chains wrapped around him and connected to heavy boxes on the ground.
This has got to be some sort of dream.
He noticed the chains and boxes and finally put it together, saying,
There's more of gravy than of grave about you, my friend.
Took you long enough, Batman.
So you're here for me.
I am.
But you can't be real. You're dead. There's no such thing as ghosts.
There's no such things as aliens 30 years ago. Yet here comes Superman and Starfire and the Martian Manhunter. Who are you to decide what's real?
I guess that's a good point. But what do you mean you're here for me? I've done nothing wrong.
You haven't?
The Shadow seemed to push straight through Bruce and come out on his other side.
To put simply, you focus too much on the bat, and not nearly enough on the man. You've lost your way like I did. In life, I had friends, family, but I drove them away as the Shadow.
You're not asking me to give up being Batman.
Good Lord, no! I am only stating that Bruce Wayne is just as important as Batman.
Yet Bruce Wayne hasn't done anything real for Gotham. Batman has.
I can see you're going to take more convincing, so I'll have to move on to the next part.
The Shadow wrapped his chains around Bruce, entangling him, and then flew abruptly upward and outward. The pair found themselves in Bruce's study in Wayne Manor. The Shadow released the chains. He pointed sharply at the imposing ancient grandfather clock that guarded the primary entrance to the Batcave.
When the clock strikes 12, expect the first spirit representing Christmas past. At 1, expect the spirit of the present. And at 2, expect the spirit of Christmas future.
But
Heed the lessons, Bruce Wayne, and you may be spared my fate. These boxes here are pieces of the streets and buildings of New York City. I died fighting there, and now my spirit remains. A curse to bear witness to the city I allowed to define me as it plunges deeper into hell. Do not suffer my punishment.
This is all ridiculous. It's a trick of some kind.
Bruce, getting fed up, violently pulled down the Shadow's mask, revealing a broken and decaying jaw holding on by a thread. Bruce shrunk back in horror.
On my last day, a common thug broke my jaw. It's a constant reminder that I defined my life by violence.
The Shadow picked up one of the boxes and managed to throw it at Bruce. A ghostly energy spread over Bruce's whole body, and he was, momentarily, wearing nothing but his underwear. Every scar, every bruise, every injury he received as Batman lit up a sickening green and burned worse than they ever had. After a few seconds that felt like forever, everything returned to normal and Bruce was once again wearing his batsuit. The Shadow put his mask back on.
Sound familiar?
With that, the Shadow vanished into thin air, taking his chains and boxes with him. Bruce quickly shook it off.
Maybe Alfred's right after all. I need some sleep.
He removed his cowl, cape, and utility belt, but didn't bother taking off the rest of the batsuit before heading to bed. Stave Two, the first of the spirits. Bruce managed to doze off, but was awoken by the sudden shocking sound of a bell chiming. It was the grandfather clock that was making the noise. Bruce ambled cautiously down the stairs and made his way to the clock. It was midnight. Suddenly, he noticed something growing out of the floor. Green, inky vines with flowers sprouting out of them. One of the vines grabbed him by the leg and knocked him over. Bruce looked up and realized who it was that was standing over him.
Poison ivy.
Close enough, Batman. I am the ghost of Christmas past. You can call me Pam if you'd like.
Bruce got to his feet.
If we're really doing this, I suppose I'll end up calling you Spirit.
The ghost grinned.
That's the idea. Now, come take hold of my plant and be connected to the vast network of vines stretching throughout history.
Bruce seemed hesitant.
I said do it.
Okay.
Bruce touched the plant and was latched onto by it. He and the spirit were whisked away from the mansion violently, and Bruce found himself flying through the air, whipped around by greenery that shouldn't be possible in the dead of winter. Eventually, Bruce and the spirit arrived at their first destination. It was Wayne Manor at Christmas time, around noon.
What year is this?
It's December 25th, 1987, your 8th Christmas. Oh, look at this lovely pine tree in there.
My parents always went all out on Christmas celebrations. When they died, I guess I kind of gave up on all that.
You seem so happy.
I was. Most wealthier families aren't as close as mine was. The Luthors, the Queens, the Cobblepots, especially the Sionuses, but there's always something different about the Waynes.
They looked in and saw young Bruce playing with the toy Zorro sword that he had just unwrapped. Adult Bruce cracked a smile at this, a real smile.
I wonder, what would have happened if that joyful little boy was the Batman instead of what you are now?
Wouldn't be as effective. I use my own darkness to instill fear in criminals because they're a...
Yes, I know. A cowardly and superstitious lot, but you can't just be a symbol of vengeance, you know.
I know that. Why do you think I have this yellow oval behind the bat on my chest? I'm emulating the yellow behind Clark's S. I realized when I first took on Dick as my ward that I can't just be a rampaging monster.
Good. We're well on our way then. The next thing you have to realize is that you don't have to do this alone.
I don't do it alone. I have Alfred, Jim, Selena, the Robins, Oracle, and the League.
You have allies, not friends. You isolate yourself from them as much as you can. I was a botanist, Batman, so take it from me when I say people are exactly like trees. Without roots, we die.
I don't want the others to fall down the same pit as me.
You mean this pit?
Suddenly, they were standing just outside of a well. Young Bruce was playing in the yard.
Summer, 1989.
Young Bruce wasn't watching where he was going, and he stumbled into the well.
I remember. Why are you showing me this?
Keep watching.
Time skipped forward a half hour, and suddenly, the gray ghost appeared outside the well with a rope, lowering it down.
My childhood hero.
The gray ghost suddenly vanished, to be replaced with Thomas Wayne.
Grab on, son.
Young Bruce clutched the rope, and Thomas pulled him back up and hugged him.
Far from the building-scaling ninja you'll be, huh? Thank goodness for your dad.
I get it. No one can do anything alone. And I don't, not really. But I try to be self-sufficient and prepared for anything.
That doesn't mean you can't have friends.
Do you know what happened a week after the well incident?
I'm the ghost of Christmas past, dear. I know everything that happened to you. But I'm not interested in your parents. I'm interested in what happens next.
The vines grabbed onto Bruce and pulled him along as the spirit began to fly into the sky. They gently landed outside Crown Academy, the upper-class alternative to Gotham City High School.
Do you remember this place?
Remember it? I could walk it blindfolded. Over there's Tommy Elliot, Roman Sionis, and that's Oswald Cobblepot. Why are you showing me this?
Because, despite what happened to most of your peers, you never went bad. You stayed on the straight and narrow, became a hero, a regular Boy Scout, didn't you?
You know, when you say things like that, I forget you're not actually Pamela Isley.
That's the idea. Oh, look, one of your school friends is following you. Why?
You know why. It's August 23rd, 1989, 2 months after Crime Alley.
Bruce, hey, Bruce.
What is it, Roman?
I was sorry to hear about your parents. I just wanted you to know my father said he's willing to donate to you.
Money? You think money can bring them back?
No, but it can't hurt.
Young Bruce stormed off.
You know, you could have been nicer to the guy. Maybe he wouldn't have turned into a skull-faced gangster.
I was a damaged kid.
And we all know who helped fix that.
Suddenly, he and the spirit were inside the cafeteria where young Bruce was sitting down and trying to go unnoticed. At that moment, a girl with red hair approached the young orphan.
You're Bruce Wayne, right?
Yeah?
I'm sorry about your parents.
Are you here to offer me money too?
No. What would that do? You're richer than me.
The girl sat down next to him.
I'm Andrea, by the way. Andrea Beaumont. Why don't you tell me about them? Your mom and dad, I mean.
The young Bruce seemed to have a weight lifted off his chest.
Love. The one thing that makes a plant grow faster than water or sunlight.
At once, Bruce and the spirit were years in the future. They stood in the middle of a fancy party being held outside of a mansion. A 25-year-old Bruce looked like a fish out of water at the gathering, trying to appear as lavish and high class as the rest of the guests.
Oswald Cobblepot's Christmas party. Oh, he really could throw a bash, and I had come to suspect around this time that Oswald was the crime kingpin known as the Penguin. So I used my invitation to investigate.
You'd been throwing your own nighttime dress-up parties for about a month at this point, right?
On and off. There were distractions.
At that moment, a now adult Andrea Beaumont approached the younger Bruce.
Fancy seeing you here, stranger.
Young Bruce finally seemed at home as he kissed her. A man showed up and put his arm around Bruce.
Hey, Brucey, welcome back. How you been?
Harvey, good seeing you.
So, this is the lovely Andrea I've heard so much about all these years.
Oh, Bruce, you talk about me.
How could I not?
Harvey nudged the younger Bruce.
Hey, check out those two.
Who?
Those women over there. That's Linda Page and Grace Lamont. They're real stunners down at the lounge. Which one should I go talk to?
Young Bruce shrugged.
I'll tell you what.
He pulled out a quarter and flipped it.
Tails. Grace it is.
Harvey straightened his bow tie and headed off.
I would have married her if...
I know. But he's not the only one who would have married someone.
So, where were we?
Young Bruce got closer to Andrea.
Right about here.
They kissed again and then engaged in a slow dance.
Are you forgetting what happened to her?
Are you?
Bruce and the spirit were pulled into the sky by vines. When they landed again, they were at Wayne Manor 1 year later, on Christmas Eve. The snow shone under the sunlight. The younger Bruce and Andrea stood in the backyard, with Andrea looking shocked.
I don't understand. What do you mean we can't see each other anymore?
We just can't.
But I love you.
You love what you think I am. There are things that I just have to do.
He looked over at the well, which was in disrepair.
And it'll change my whole life. And I can't let it change yours, too. You deserve better.
Please.
I'm sorry, but I think you should go.
Andrea stormed off. Bruce looked at his younger self with an expression of what could only be described as guilt mixed with embarrassment.
You planned for a lot of things when you decided upon your quest for vengeance, but you never planned on being happy.
It was my fault what she became.
Without roots, a plant dies. We seem to be going long. Let me just speed run things.
Suddenly, there was a swirl of color and light surrounding everything. Time seemed to be playing all at once.
Your angel of death awaits.
Because that little boy you orphaned was me. I am Bruce
Step
Wayne.
right up to see the amazing flying Grayson. The boy needs a home.
Going to have to tell your father, Miss
He
Corder.
manipulates, pulls strings, anything to get what he
Let me
wants.
tell you from the start, this is going to hurt you a lot more than it hurts me.
No! Please! No!
If I'm going to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice.
Bruce and the spirit finally arrived back at the Batcave.
Why are you showing me all this? All I'm seeing is the list of people I've lost in some way. That doesn't make me want to change.
Most of those people who died only did so because you pushed them away. Dick left because you started to see him as a soldier. Jason died because you stopped communicating with him. And what happened to Barbara? Well, that one wasn't your fault. As for Andrea, well, she's what you'll become if you continue down this path.
Enough of this.
And you're going to lose Tim the same way.
I said enough.
Only a matter of time before you push away Alfred, too.
Get out.
Bruce grabbed a batarang from the utility belt on his desk and threw it at the spirit, who collapsed into a series of vines and plants.
A tree's leaves aren't defined by their roots, Batman. There's time.
Rattled, Bruce put on the rest of his batsuit. It made him feel more secure, and went upstairs. As he was walking towards his bedroom, he noticed a faint golden glow coming from the door crack. He had a look of, what is it now, on his face.